Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. John Swinney has not even been inaugurated as the leader of the party yet, and already his caretaker role looks like it's going to be a short one. A recent poll has shown that this is likely to be the worst election result for the SNP in 14 years. This is at Westminster, but it's likely to continue also onto the Holyrood elections in 2026, should he still be in place. Not likely. With their support is plummeting, people are drifting away, party numbers are falling. No one really knows how few they've got now, which is why they were desperate to avoid a leadership challenge. They didn't want to arm their opposition by letting people know that their support has gone. The base is drifting away. They have got no money, no corporate sponsors. They're £1 million in the hole. They don't have the money to fight an election. And yet they've got two in the space of 2 years. It's going to be rough. It could even see the end of them. But they are on course to fall behind Labour at Westminster and Holyrood. And this is according to the first poll conducted after the resignation of Humza Yousaf. Any hopes the Nats had of any kind of boost with the news that Swinney was coming in to save them, the new bald messiah, was going to become, they've been dashed. And Labour are on course to absolutely pummel the SNP in both elections. It makes unedifying reading. Poor Swinney will be looking at these numbers this morning and thinking, I don't know why I wanted this role. Now, Norstat, who used to be panel-based, they did this poll for the Sunday Times, and it says that the SNP would win just 29% of the vote at a general election, which is down 3 points in just a month. Labour is on course to win 34%. If these numbers are correct, and this is without, of course, any kind of tactical voting, it would mean that the SNP would return only 15 MPs to Westminster, which would be the poorest performance since 2010, and down from the 43 that they've got now, the high point of 56 from 2015. Now, that's without tactical voting. Imagine a little bit of tactical voting in there. They could be down to single figures. That, of course, would be the absolute and total end of the SNP. They couldn't afford it. They wouldn't be getting the money in from the MPs. All those things they currently have and need paying would have to go. It is absolutely imperative that people tactically vote and get out the SNP MPs to stop the party being funded. It would be the final end of them, and that cancer would go. It is horrific for them, though. There's no getting around it. Swinney will be sitting there looking again at these numbers, but more importantly, all the people behind Swinney, all the senior apparatchiks in the party, and the men in grey kilts, as well as the backbenchers, the activists, the rank and file members. And they'll all be thinking, have we done it again? They had buyer's remorse when they installed Humza Yousaf. Will they have buyer's remorse with John Swinney? I think it's already in, and he hasn't even been declared the leader. It's not a great start, is it? It's not a brilliant start to a career as leader when you're in such a deep hole. You know you cannot get out of it. It is impossible. Now, of course, Anna Sawar, he'll be sitting there this morning grinning from ear to ear, as well, of course, will Keir Starmer. But even the Tories will be feeling pretty flush about it, the Scottish Tories at least, because they know that a lot of the votes that would have gone to SNP, obviously drifting to Labour, but it means that their chaps have got an easier task of it. They may even increase their seats. This is the thing. They may even increase their seats by 1 or 2. Startling, isn't it? Anyway, the data shows that the SNP are at 34%, a point ahead of Labour in constituencies. The Conservatives are on 14% of the vote, Lib Dems 9, Greens on 5. On the regional list, Labour are a point ahead of the Nats on 28, with Tories on 17, the Greens on 9, and the Lib Dems on 8%. Curtis, we all know, Professor Sir Ian Curtis, he's dead. John Curtis suggests that would give Labour 40 seats to the SNP's 38. And a hammer blow to the incoming leader. Now, this is the Holyrood vote now. And so you would have 40 seats for Labour in Holyrood in 2026. This, of course, would mean a Labour government in Scotland as well as a Labour government at Westminster, and only maybe 15 SNP seats at Westminster and just the 38 in Holyrood. Labour would form the next administration, and nobody from the SNP would ever be First Minister again. What's worse, and this is the one that will break their tiny little hearts, is that support for the Union still outstrips support for independence, 52-48. They cannot do anything to increase that vote for the independents that they so desire. And that's because people are wising up to them. People are increasingly seeing how bad it would be for Scotland to have an independence run by the SNP. Nobody trusts them. You know, they look around, they see the damage that's done. They see the schools falling apart, the education standards plummeting down in league tables. They see an NHS destroyed. They see the roads crumbling, all the infrastructure crumbling. And they see that there is not one aspect at all of what the SNP have done over the last 17 years that can be pointed at and said, hey, that's good. Not one. And let the past be prologue, because going forward, it's not likely to improve. There's no room for improvement. There's just nothing there. They are a party that's run out of steam and run out of ideas, and increasingly seen as a party just desperate to hold on to power for power's sake. They are directionless, currently leaderless. And there is a report, and I'm going to do this in a later video, that there's there's a leadership challenge on the cards, but not from anyone you've heard of. So even now, Swinney hasn't actually confirmed his leadership. They're waiting on news that there may be a challenge which will come in tomorrow, to the last day. And so this is a party completely split, completely in disarray, completely out of money, and with 2 elections coming up, completely out of hope. It's absolutely wonderful to see. You're going to have a whole party riven by civil war and backfighting, everyone finger-pointing, passing the buck, blaming others, and ultimately they've only got themselves to blame. Wonderful, isn't it? Wonderful. And it's what happens when you constantly have continuity characters. There's nothing new. No new ideas. No new directions. Thank you very much for listening. Take care. Speak soon. Bye.